So one of the things I'm hoping that I'll be able to do is, if you're looking at a bike and you're trying to make a decision on whether or not it would be a good idea to get a bike, an e-bike, especially an e-bike, and whether or not you can ride it once you get it, whether or not you would be able to, you know, enjoy it, get around, do you have the physical abilities? One thing that I can tell you for sure about the e-bike is that it helps with depression. It helps you be less depressed. Being outside by itself, in my case, in this particular area, we have greenery, we have the outside air, you just naturally feel better. You combine that with riding an e-bike and get the feeling of freedom and movement, you really feel good. It's hard to feel bad when you're out riding around the e-bike. It's better if you don't have to ride on the roads and you have trails to ride on. That's a lot better, obviously, because the trails are just really nice, especially around here. Some single track trails are nice, and even the paved ones that we have, nice around this area. Some are close to the ride close to the interstate on a trail. That's not quite as nice, although you're usually by yourself. But it's harder to have fun when you got all the interstate traffic. But it's still better than being inside. Just being outside by itself cheers you up. So what I'm looking at is a person is trying to decide whether or not they should have an e-bike, whether they should get it. I'm talking mainly to those people. If you're one of those people who is trying to make a decision on whether an e-bike is good for you, you may have bad legs, you may have a tough time walking, you may have health issues, you may be slightly depressed, and you're not even sure if you're going to be able to ride an e-bike. What I want to try to do here is explain how you go about getting to your first ride on your e-bike, what you should be looking forward to, what you should have available. How do you actually go about your first e-bike ride? What steps you need to take? One of the first problems I had was that I got it here and I took it out of a box, and then you have to assemble it. And if y'all know anything about my assembling ability, it's not very high. I have a very low threshold of ability to assemble things. But after a time, not the recommended 30 minutes that they say it's going to take, instead the 4 or 5 days that it takes for me to do it, I had the bike assembled. But after I had it assembled, I was like, okay, how does this thing go? How do I keep myself from crashing into a tree? I didn't know how to do anything with an e-bike. I didn't even know how to turn it on. And in fact, if you watch some of my first videos that I had, maybe the third video, I couldn't turn on the bike. And I didn't know it was my inability to turn on the bike was the problem. I thought it was the bike had a problem. But the problem it had was me. I just didn't know how to turn it on. So I think that's like my third video or so. One of the things about my videos, if you go back 2 years ago, around this time, is when I started doing the bike. And my main purpose for the July through December period of time where I was doing my videos is to showcase how I went about learning to ride an e-bike. I fell a couple of times. I haven't fallen since, but during that period of time I was learning how to ride an e-bike, I fell a couple of times. Learning how to make a U-turn. Oh man, that was scary. My first 30 seconds into my ride, I ran into a tree. I wanted to try to explain to you in this video how to avoid all those problems and just have the e-bike be good from day one. Once you get it unpacked and you're able to assemble it, once you get past those points, I want to pick up on how to get prepared for your first ride and what to do. So let's go about this and see. I got my e-bike behind me. This one has a few attachments on it. When you first start off, don't start off with a bunch of attachments. The reason I'm sitting in a chair is because I can't stand for long. So even somebody like me who can't stand for long, I can have a good time on an e-bike. I may not be able to walk around the block, but I can ride the e-bike for an hour in a bunch of different places. So I want to show y'all how to do that. All right, so what I got here today, you'll notice, is that I have a camera that'll follow me. I think. We'll see. Supposed to. Anyway, this is my bike. Now, one of the things I talked about is I wanted to you start off with a bike that doesn't have everything attached to it. So I got a lot attached to it right now. I have a horn that's supposed to scare away dogs. It doesn't work. They don't care. If they're chasing you, you do the horn thing and they just, act like they didn't happen. So that's not very helpful. I got a bright light. Bright lights are really helpful. So I got a bright light that blinks. Now the bike itself also has a light, but it's not very bright. Also I have a weird light here, so I added this one too, which blinks. Now the bike itself, if you turn on the lights, it also has a light, but it's not very bright either. So I like the bright blinking lights better because I want people to be able to see me. You're going to want that too. You want to be able people to see you. The accessory here that I have, which you don't need to put these accessories on when you're first trying to figure out how to drive. Everything adds a bit of weight, and you don't want your bike to have any extra weight. And you just want it to be as simple so you don't have to think about too many different things. Getting a mirror is one of your higher priorities to get, but you don't, for your first ride, just figuring out how to ride, you don't even need that for that particular purpose. One of the things I want to show is when you get a bike, you're going to depend on, you might decide that you want to get a hub motor, like it's what I have. I have a Bafang hub motor, and it works very well. In fact, I recommend it over the mid-drive. The mid-drive works here where your pedaling is, but because of where it's located, the way it works, you have to pedal in order for the motor to kick in if you're not throttling it. So I don't want to be throttling ever when I'm riding a bike, except for one exception, which I'll explain at some point in this video. But to start with, you want to be able to get a hub drive motor. For most of us at our age, the hub drive works better for us. The mid-drive might be a little bit younger crowd. All right, so we want to see that we have brakes. We have one here on the right. This is the right side brake. And then of course we'll have a left side brake. Now, you need to know the difference between the right side and left side brakes. The way I turn the difference is that the right side controls your back brakes. So if you're signaling, as we remember when we were training to drive, they tell us to signal with our left hand, stick it out the car. For American drivers, that is. You stick out your left hand and you signal, you're going to turn right, you're going to turn left, you're going to stop. You know, those type of signals. So that's all I'll do with my left hand. I do all the signaling with the left hand. Therefore, I know that the safer brake is the right brake. It controls the rear brake. So if you're going to have to hit only one brake, it needs to be the right brake because it'll slow you down without throwing you over. When you hit your front brake only, which is the left side, it stops the front wheels and then the back one flies over you. And you don't want that. That's not something that a new driver, probably even one that's been bicycling for a long time, they probably don't like that very much either. My first accident was because I was moving and I said, oh, I need to hit the brake and stop. And I was like, wait a second. I don't know which brake to hit. Do I hit the right one? Do I hit the left one? What do I hit? So the choice I made was just to ram myself into the tree. I was only going a couple of miles an hour, but I didn't want to flip the bike over by hitting the wrong brake. So yeah, don't hit the wrong brake. And the way you learn it, at least the way I can remember it, is from It's the hand that you don't use all your signaling for. So that's the one that's going to be free when you're signaling. I'm turning left, or that way. I'm turning left. I'm turning right. I'm stopping. That leaves your right hand available. Here in my case, we have the shifting system here that's right underneath your hand. So you got your hand here, and you got your shifting. In my case, I got 2 trigger shifters, which are fantastic to have, 2 trigger shifters. Hopefully your bike has those. One to bring you higher. This controls this part of your bike, which I'll show us a little bit later when we need those going up hills and down hills. This includes even if you're a throttling person. There are hills you can't make up, at least in my area, unless you also are pedaling. And in order to pedal up hills, you need to be in a gear that allows you to actually do the pedaling. In my case, besides that, I also have my Garmin, which is an extra accessory you don't need initially. Bright light would be really nice to have. You have your bell, which is very handy, especially when you're on trails to warn other people. So having that is good to have. So hopefully you got that. Horn, I don't need. It makes noise like that. It's supposed to be scaring dogs away. They don't run. Even Chihuahuas don't care. So, so if a Chihuahua is not going to care, you're not. Big dogs are certainly not going to care. So now, there's different ways to get onto your bike. Now, I have not a step through. A step through would mean I would be able to just step through here and put my foot on the other side. Well, I can't do that. So what I have to do, if I want to get on the bike, I have to put the bike level here, hold the brake so that the bike doesn't move, and then I can swing my leg over and get on the bike. This bike here, even though this here is my belly in it for having, I can actually stand here on my bike and it not fall. So that's one of the things I like about this bike is the fact that I can straddle it and not fall. Now, in order to get back on the bike, you have to step up in order to get on the bike, and therefore, in most cases, if you're pedaling, if you're trying to get power from riding, you're going to want to have your you're going to want to have your setup so that when you're sitting on the bike and you're at the bottom down here, that your knees just slightly bent when it gets down to the bottom. Now, if you're throttling, it doesn't matter quite as much because if it's bent up, you're just throttling. You're not trying to get extra pressure from the driving. So you can lower your seat more so that your knees are bent, and when you get off, you can actually just stay seated. You can stay seated. If you lower it, you can stay seated when you stop and put your foot out. But if you pretty much got it set up correctly, you're not going to be able to reach the ground when you stopped. The Aventon bike pedal is fairly close to the ground, so you really don't have that much distance between the ground and you, which means you have to be careful when you turn corners. Otherwise, your pedal will hit the ground. You don't want that to happen. That can be a potential wreck. So part of our training process of learning how to ride will include making sure that the pedal is not lowest to the ground when you turn corners. You don't want it to be lowered to the ground at that point. So you'll see here, you can see my blinking light, how well it blinks. It blinks pretty good. It's pretty bright too, so those are both good things. Getting off the bike, you also hold your brakes down. That's the safest way to get on and off the bike is by making sure your brakes stay down. Turning the bike on. Now, one of the things when the bike is like this state, you can hit the throttle button, which in my case is right here. This throttle button I can push down, and the bike doesn't do anything. The problem I told y'all about my first drive, I couldn't turn on the bike. And it turns out the Aventon, the way it works, is that you quickly hit the button. Barely hit the button in, push it really quick, and let go really quick. Once you do that, it activates the battery to recognize that when you decide to push down on the start button over here, it'll turn on. And now you can see the bike being up. Now right now you'll notice that the assist level is 0. So I can, on the Aventon, you need to check your own bike because they actually are different. I can push down on the throttle now. I can push down this and we don't go anywhere. We're still in the same spot. You need to know that because that becomes really important whether you're assistant. Now, one of the things that we'll discuss a little bit later on hills is how to get going on a hill, which is dangerous. Now, what I did the first time, I got on my bike. I did not know which brake was which. And when I pedaled, I was on assist 1. When I pedaled the first time, this bike just took off. Now, it's not going to go but about 7 or 8 miles per hour. But for your first ride, 7 or 8 miles per hour is jerky and surprising. And I didn't know it was going to happen. I thought it'd be extremely slow start off, but it doesn't. It just kicks in and away you go. So you need to be prepared for that, and I wasn't prepared. And so, and thus my hitting a tree. So one of the first things that you can do in order to assure that you're not going to have the hitting the tree vision is to get on your bike, hold both brakes down, get on the bike, and then while you're still in 0 assist, go forward. Just go forward a little bit and get the use of how it moves. To get just a little bit of the feel of the bike. Okay, now that we're ready to go. Okay, you thought I was going to ride the bike, right? No, we can't ride the bike. Look, I don't even have a helmet. But we're getting close to riding the bike. Safety first. So let's work on some safety stuff. All right, first thing that I put on are my little glasses. So these glasses, which have a strap to keep them from falling off my head. Now, if it's cold outside, you don't need the straps as much, but it turns out that today is not one of those days, and you need a strap. So this helps protect your eyes, UV related. The straps keeps them from sliding down your face. I learned this on the first day when I wasn't having the straps and it was hot and I was trying to climb a hill and I was sweaty and my glasses kept falling off my face. Yeah, I had enough trouble trying to climb the hill. I didn't need to be sitting around trying to also figure out how to keep my glasses on my face. So make sure you get straps on your glasses, but you need protective gear. So these are good. All right, and then after protective gear for your eyes, we are now going for protective gear for your head. This is, and you don't necessarily need one of these on your head. This is for my camera. So this is protective gear for your helmet. So you need to put it on. Now we have a bike that we're riding fairly quickly. We're not a slow bike. We're not going 5 miles per hour or 10. We're going like 15. So you need to get a little bit better helmet. Don't get the cheap ones. Try to get one that actually will protect your head. Okay, so here I am. First 2 major steps. But am I done? No, not really. I gotta have a vest. Now, do you need this particular vest? Can you get by with maybe just 1 or 2 items of reflection? Yeah, well, of course, probably could. But like I said, I want to be seen. I don't want to have the excuse the driver uses when he hits me is, oh, I didn't see you there. This will means that if he says that, it's because he did not have his eyes open. He was looking down at his phone. So I may be injured and in the hospital, but I got a lawsuit on my hands. So anyway, I carry the vest, a very reflective one that's even seeable during the nighttime. So you can see, very good vest. It's not the best fashion statement, but you're not out here making a fashion statement. You're out here enjoying the outside, getting fun, and staying alive. Staying alive, that's important. All right, and finally we get gloves. Now I have these gloves. You notice they don't have fingers, or at least not all the way out to the end, but they do have little paddings here. Here a padding, here a padding. I felt like I was going to try to sing Oh McDonald's. Here a padding, there a padding, everywhere a padding. And Oh McDonald, how to farm. E-I-E-I-O. Okay. I got that out of my system. Anyway, so you need to get a glove with some padding. Non-padded gloves are not going to be helpful. What's going to happen? I have fallen a couple of times, never skinned up my palm of my hands. These, can you see them? These gel things have been injured a few times. Look at this poor old guy. He's been injured really bad. So does this guy. So I'm going to say you're going to need these padding gloves. I fell twice right off the bat. I have a philosophy that you're probably going to fall eventually. And actually, the more heavy stuff you put on your bike, the heavier your bike is, the greater likelihood you're going to fall. So try not to stack a million things on your bike, especially at the beginning. At the beginning, you're trying to learn how to balance yourself, and you don't need any extra weight. So we're going to get this on as I prepare to go places, do things. These gloves have something really neat. Let me show you. So if you notice, I have these little string things on my gloves. Those string things are really helpful when you're trying to take off your gloves. If you've been riding around and your palms got all sweaty because it's a hot day, you know, like yesterday it was 100. Today, I don't think it's going to hit 100, but we'll see. After all that stuff, the non-safety thing, or maybe it is a safety thing, is your harness. Now, the harness is to hold your phone. You don't need this if you're not doing videos. But I am doing videos, so I need them. So you put this harness on, and it can record your ride. Now, recording your ride is not necessary, but I watched a video yesterday in which the person gave a good case for why you should record your videos. And that is, if any type of accident happens, you have it recorded. And they said that the GoPro has a loop feature on it where it will continuously loop. It will record things and then start over again and erase the old things and start over again. So therefore, you always have the most recent video. So if you end up having an accident, you'll be able to show what happened. That's not a safety feature. You don't need that. I'm just explaining what this guy was talking about. All right, so now that we're all set up, oh, and you got to have good shoes because, well, you just need good shoes. For the bike, I use these tennis shoes that I have. Floppy shoes, open toes things, you don't want those things. And part of the reason I'll show you here. Now remember, I'm getting ready to get on, so I have to hold the brakes. Did y'all get that quiz correct? that we have to hold the brakes in order to get on. So I get on here, and what I want to show you is as you're pedaling, your foot has a tendency to go down sometimes when you're bouncing over some things or you're dodging a pothole, and your foot may come up during a bump. Well, it's possible that if you're turning a corner or you're not being steady, the bottom of your foot will hit the ground. If you're wearing flip-flops or an open-toe item, it's going to hurt for days. It will hurt for days. You don't want to do that. So make sure you get good, solid shoes. And then you're like ready to go. Now, what we would like to have is somebody, I was hoping somebody would walk by and we could just confiscate somebody. But I don't see anybody right now, so we may have to confiscate them some other day. All right, so I already explained how you want your legs to be if you're basically planning on pedaling. And if you have heels, you're going to have to pedal sometime, so you're going to need to get your proper position. You need to get your proper arms too. Now, I can't really show you the proper arms without falling over, unless I get next to a tree or something. But since I don't have anybody holding my bike, we'll just say that we want to be able to get the arms, the wrist here, so that it's fairly straight. And you want to be able to sit back, but you want to be able to reach your pedals. I mean your levers, your brake lever, so you can hit a brake. But you want this straight. What happens if you stay like this, where the hands like this is more comfortable to start with. The vibrations that you go as you're riding along ends up injuring your wrist. So if your wrist is hurting, it's probably because you don't have the right angle. So you need to be sitting up, and when you're sitting up, find out what your angle is, and then you need to adjust your handlebars to be correct. Now mine could use a little bit of an adjustment, but I'll need a different set of handlebars because right now these are a little bit too low. When I set up, I would like for them to be about here. So I need just a little bit in order to be the most comfortable, but it still works pretty good. If I ride a couple of hours on bumpy gravel, my wrist will hurt. So I try not to do that. Although I might try to do it once I get it fixed. But what you want to do is have somebody come and hold your bike. So they're holding your bike, and what you want to do is to stand up straight and then practice balancing. So they're just holding the bike a little bit for you while you are standing here. Now I have some trees around, and I could use the trees, but they're not going to help for the second part. So the tree would help you get on, but once you're on, you want to go somewhere. I mean, that's the reason you got the bike, is to go somewhere. So you're going to want to go somewhere. And so in order to go somewhere, you're going to have to do some pedaling. Now, what I say is you should start without your bike turned on. So right now, I can hit the throttle and I don't go anywhere. My bike's not on. So I want to do a little bit of riding. So I want that person to be holding me, not me. Take that back. Don't hold me. Wants to hold the bike so that when I take my first couple of movements, that they'll be there to make sure that I'm balanced. And then once I found out that I'm balanced, then we can make the next step. Now, I will say, if you get in a nice spot and you have your bike turned off, my bike is not turned on right now, it's turned off, so there's no way I can accidentally get started. And you want to make sure you can balance first. Now, if it turns out that you already know you can balance, you can skip this part. But if you don't know you can balance, then we need to force this. You just want to push down on this, have the person hold your bike, and then go forward. I'm doing it here in my driveway so that I don't have that far to go. I assume that most people, when you get your bike put together, you're not going to say, oh, now let me go find a nice place to practice. You're probably going to be like me, wanting to give something a try. I'm telling you, it's not a good idea. That tree over there, not too far away, is a tree that, I mean, across the road and into that little bean over there is a tree that I ran into right off the bat. Right across here, right out into the street and into the tree because I didn't know how to hit the brakes. So make sure you do know how to hit the brakes. We covered that. Know how to hit the brakes. This is the best brake to start with if you're in doubt, but you should hit both brakes at the same time. But right brake if you're in doubt. All right. Once the person has gotten to the point where you tried it a couple of times and you feel comfortable, then we can move to turning on the bike. In my case, we turn on the bike by having this little button here and pushing it really quick. All right, we push the button. The bike's still not on, but the battery's activated now. Now I can turn and push down this button, which then you'll see the Aventon sign come up in the controls. And you'll see that we're on 0. We're still on 0. But now we have activated the bike, and the bike is live. So with a live bike, you gotta be a little bit more careful because bikes are different, and they, by hitting the wrong throttle button, this is a bad time, by the way, to practice using your throttle button. Oh, I wonder if this is the throttle button. Make sure you found the throttle button now, because you don't want to be sitting here while the person is holding you and you go, oh, I wonder what this does. And you push it and off you go. That would be, I guess that'd be fun, exciting. It could also be dangerous. Okay, so the person's holding your bike, you're ready to go. We want to put the assist. So in our case, we got a thing right here. We can put the assist in 1. Now the bike is live. It is definitely gonna go if we do something. I recommend we always put my foot in this position here to where I'm ready to push down. But the first thing I'm going to do is to use the throttle. So I got somebody holding my bike. I'm going to push down on the throttle, and as I start moving forward, start pedaling too. So I'll be moving forward and pedaling, and they'll be trying to keep up with me. Now, one thing you notice is that you end up going fast. You end up taking off, going places. You need to be careful on that. So that's one of the things that we are trying to practice here, is to make sure that you're prepared. Remember where your brakes are. They save you. The right one is the more important one, so try to hit it first. Don't try to hit the left one first. And so practice a little bit of your driving. We're going to come back here in just a few minutes after we get our practice down. Thank the person who helped us get our steady. Maybe keep them around for our first actual ride where we go somewhere. But we're ready to take this main step of heading out into the world. You may not want to head out into the world like in a neighborhood like I have, but I already know how to ride, so I'm going to practice it here because I don't want to go find a different spot. So we'll practice our riding starting here. I can go around the block. You probably won't be able to follow me on this camera. You'll have to use the camera I'll end up putting here, which will probably be this one. Probably put this one here. So we'll see you in a minute. Okay, one of the things that I did this time was that I lowered the seat. Now this is not your standard seat for riding because it's too close to the ground. But because it's close to the ground, you can put your feet flat on the ground while you keep your bike totally straight. Therefore, for learning how to balance, this is good, because if you start falling a little bit, you can put your foot down, and the way the bike won't drag you down. So I've turned my bike on. I'm in Assist 1. Now, on most bikes, there's a delay between when you first push down the button, like I'll push it down and let go. It doesn't go anywhere because I pushed it really fast and let go. So in our case, now that we got our seat in a good spot, and we got our feet down, I'm going to just pick my feet up and put them on the pedals here and be able to drive around. So we need to re-establish that we know where the brakes are. This is the back brake only, and this is both brakes. So you want to be able to do both brakes, and you want to do back brake only, or at least know where it is in case you do need to hit it. I got my lights on so that you can see, other people can see me. So I think we're ready to go. Now, one of the things I will start off with, the gears aren't going to matter too much right now because we are going to be using throttle only. but I set my gear to 5 because it's an okay spot to put it. I can pedal at 5. You can put it in anything you want because it's not going to matter too much right now. Some bikes, what gear you put it in will matter how fast you go, but most of the time the assist is what does that, and the throttle. So I want to put this down, I'm going to have my feet down, and we're going to push this down, and we're going to start going forward. And let go immediately, because I want to practice some balancing. So here I am practicing my balancing, doing what balancing is supposed to do. But my phone's not following me. What's going on, phone? Okay, you ready to follow now? Okay. Yeah, you'll notice that when I have my feet up here, my knees are really bent. They're really strong. But we're not going to do much pedaling. So here we go. I can ride around. Since I can ride in the, since I have a fat tire bike, I can ride in the grass and still for it to work okay. So here I've learned that I can practice some. So I want to do a little bit of a ride around the block. Not a block, but the island that's across over here. And what I'm doing, if you can see, is that I am, maybe I need to pull this down a little bit more, is that I'm pushing this sometimes when I need to. There's a slight delay. If you can listen, I'll push it down, and then it'll start. Then I'll let it go. And so we're just trying to do very slowly around. And if we decide to stop, since I already have, I can do U-turns. You need to figure out how to do that, but probably not right off the bat, because you got to make sure you have your legs up. You notice how my legs are up this high? That's so it won't hit the ground when I try a U-turn. So, and that includes both sides, of course. And so I can get these U-turns down pretty easily because I've been practicing. The camera has a problem trying to keep up with me. Okay, you got me, camera? See me? Yeah, you see me, I guess. All right. All right, here we go, camera. That's the way to keep up. Way to keep up. Good job. All right, so now I can stop and put my feet right down. So it's terrible for pedaling. If you're trying to pedal, this does not work at all. So I'm going to readjust my seat so I can actually do some pedaling because I don't like this non-pedaling stuff. But it is good to learn. And you can see that with just the throttle only, you can do a pretty good amount of things. Whoa. Oh, yeah, I have a tough time not pedaling. Pedaling hurts. Yeah, with my knees the way they are, pedaling actually hurts, so we don't want to do that. So now we're finished with this. So one of the things I want to do is adjust my seat to a regular size seat. It's easier to get off too when you have your seat so low. Now that I'm here, it's going to be a little bit harder to get on the bike. Remember, you got to hold both your brakes down. Okay. And now my feet can't reach the ground. So I have to lean the bike down in order for my foot to reach the ground. But pedaling is going to be easier. Let's see how it flows out. So, yeah. Okay, so like this, I still want to do part of it the same way. I want to use my throttle to start off, but after I get started, I'm no longer going to be using the throttle. I'm just going to be pedaling. And that's dependent on what gear I am, is how much effort it's going to take to pedal. Now I'll switch it to 4. We're pretty flat ground, so 4 will work perfectly well. Probably 5 would have too. So when we start, we get in this position to start, and we push down. We have to keep our hands off the brakes in order to start. Then we push down on the throttle and we go forward. Then we pedal. Now we don't hit the throttle anymore, so now I'm not hitting the throttle any. I'm just coasting down the hill, but when I turn around, I'll have to do some pedaling in order to keep speed up. So I'm taking the same route, but I'm not hitting the throttle at any point in time. I'm actually riding a bicycle. Now riding the bicycle is, when you're actually pedaling, is where you're going to get all the health benefits. In one of my episodes in like November or so of 2023, I guess, 2022, I showed what it was like, the health benefits of riding an e-bike. So you get those health benefits only if you are actually pedaling. If you're not pedaling, many of those health benefits you're not going to get. Now, one of the things we want to make sure is that we're at the right speed and have the right power. For me to climb this hill, this little hill I have here, me being in 5, which you can see 5, is perfectly fine for me. I did not put my seat back in the right spot. It's a little low, so I'm going to have to raise my seat here. But I'll probably put it in a half an inch wrong spot. But this hill coming up here is the hill in which I wrecked on. So what I want to show as we come up here, you have to come to a stop because there's a stop sign. So what I had to do was stop. And once you stop, if you notice, I have, or maybe you notice, if you notice now, I'm holding both brakes down because that's what's keeping me from falling. If I let go, I start sliding backwards. So I don't want to do that, except for the fact that I have to do that in order to go forward, because you can't go forward when you got the brakes on. So what I have to do, or what you have to learn to do, and I do this on a fairly small hill, is learn how to get your thumb ready on the throttle and have your foot ready to push down, then let go of the brakes at the same time you push down on the throttle, and then you can go. So you have to do that timing just right. Otherwise, you end up not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm going to have to fix this seat. This is terrible. Let me find a shade. Just a seat in. All right. Okay, so maybe I won't get hit here. All right, so we're going to stop here and raise the seat up an inch. This is one reason why you bring tools with you, is that you can do repairs on the fly. You don't have to go home. Now, this is the only tool I have with me because I'm doing this demo, so I don't have all the other tools with me. All right. So hopefully that's in the right spot now. All right, let's start to go again. After repairing the seat. Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, I can stretch my leg all the way out now. Now where I'm going to head to is, I'm just coasting, but you can see I coast pretty fast because I have hills in this area. This particular road was recently paved, so it's nice and smooth. It was really bad, so there are potholes all over the place. So I could have shown you how to dodge potholes, which I'm terrible at. If you watch my videos, you'll notice that I hit quite a few of them. But going up these hills here, I will shift gears. Hopefully y'all can see the gear that I'm in. But as I go up these hills, I will shift the gears and be in a different gear. Lower as you go up. All right. So here's a very big hill that you cannot make it up. Yeah, this hill here cannot be made up by just using the throttle. At least not with my weight. Maybe if I only weighed 100 pounds, it might work. But I weigh more than that. So I cannot go up this hill without pedaling. So before I go up the hills, one of the things I will do is lower this to a lower level so that I can actually go up it. So let's see what it switched to. We also will want to increase the assist right here. If you see the assist, I will increase it to 5. So let's see how this very beginning works. Okay, so we'll start trying to up the hill, and you'll see that I put down this in the lowest gear. So now I can pedal as I go up, and the bike is giving me all the energy that it needs, but it's not strong enough. So right now I'm pushing pretty hard to help the bike up this hill. And I'm in gear 1 to make sure I do that. And then once I get up here, I can switch to much lower. Let me go by. Hey. Now, this is a way where I cut through frequently, but we're not doing that today. So now we're going to go down the hill. And going down the hill is where you're going to learn brakes are extremely important. So having your really good brakes. See, I'll get back to 5. 5 is what I like normally. And so I'm in 5, and I'm also in assist 1. That's my normal riding speed when I ride. All right, so I'm hitting the brakes to try to keep me. If you notice the speed limit, or speed I'm going 18, 19. So I'm trying to use my brakes to slow me down so I don't go too fast, because you don't want to be hitting one of these bumps that throws you into the air. Just don't want to do that. So now that I'm going to be heading up this hill here, I'll switch to 2. And it will give me extra power, obviously, and I'll stay in 5, and I'll be able to go up the hill. If I start having difficulty, let's just say I'm having difficulty now, I'll switch down to 4, and it would make it easier for me to pedal. So I'm going to switch back to 5. And pretty much this is what the route will take the rest of the way home. With this hills coming up here, I'm leaving it in 2. And you notice I'm still staying, for the most part, 15 miles per hour or under. And then I regulate how much I want to use effort. I move it down. So I'm at 5. My gear is at 5 now. But if I found it hard pedaling up that hill, I could have switched to 4, 3, or 2, or even 1. It had to be a pretty big hill to go to 1, but y'all will learn as you do your pedaling which hills you can take without where the bike can do all the work, or most of the work. You could stay in 1 and just pretend like you're pedaling and go up the hill, and which ones you have to actually pedal up. Those of you who are 240 or higher like me, you're going to be pedaling up a lot more hills. So it's good exercise. And I have several videos showing how the benefits to your brain, to your body, to all sorts of things by getting out and exercising on the bike. Getting out and just motorcycling around on the bike using your throttle only can help your mood because it gets you outside, but it won't give you as many health benefits. All right, so here we are. We've done all the stuff that we wanted to do, And now we can proceed to be extremely good bike riders. So get out there, ride your bike. Hopefully you're very successful. Let me know if you're a new bike rider and this video helped in any manner. I was hoping it would help, but just because I hope it helps doesn't mean it will. So, and watching my early videos, if this didn't help as much, maybe watching some of my episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5 will help. So until next time, like and subscribe if you like this, and I'll get in touch with y'all later. All right, bye.